Sprint car finals. Your commentators are Lance Robertson and Greg Rust.
Welcome to Queensland's Archerfield Speedway for the final round of the World Series Sprint Car Championship for '96. The field now assembling for the 30-lap final. Archerfield Speedway impeccable in its presentation.
Some very talented drivers in tonight's lineup. Gary Brazier is your pole sitter from Paul Lindbergh. Out of row 2 with Brooke Tatnell and Greg Hodnett. And rounding out row 3, Joey Saldana and Danny Smith, all the way from the USA.
Well, look for a hard-charging start from the front row, and of course young Lindbergh from Queensland, he'll be after the runs on the board in hometown. But no, it's Brazier. Look at Tatnell going up the inside. He gets a nudge from behind. I think that may well have been Greg Hodnett on the inside of the third row there, Rusty. And unfortunately for Tatnell, he's turned himself around, and plenty of mayhem follows.
Certainly has. One of the unfortunate people to lose out in that one also was Barry Lawrence in the FAI machine. But you're quite right, there is the car number 5 of Hodnett there, sitting right on top of Lawrence's machine. Good news is, though, that all drivers are out and A-OK, but it looks as though some of them won't be taking part in the restart.
Well, a restart there and plenty of air under the front wheel from Gary Brazier. Has this guy got talent? One thing he's not short of is intestinal fortitude as he leads the field down and completes lap number 1 of 30 laps, and he's got quite a handy lead. Plenty more air under the front wheel. Heaps and heaps of wheel standing from these 650 horsepower beasts.
Lindbergh is in second place at the moment, hotly pursued by Saldana. So there is the battle out in front. Gary Brazier popping wheel stands again as I speak. They make their way around this Archerfield circuit. Plenty of attitude there from Brazier, and very different lines being opted by these guys. Brazier seems to me to be taking a little bit of a high line, while Lindbergh is opting very much for the low line.
Just before in that last turn, Rusty, it was interesting to see that both Brooke Tatnell and, of course, Barry Lawrence and indeed Greg Hodnett from the USA, the drivers that were involved in that first corner incident in the initial start of this 30-lap final here at Archerfield Speedway, are all taking their part in this race. Look at this, plenty of traction down from the rear wheels there. Drivers going sideways, but not too far sideways. Looks like they've got plenty of upward force, if you like, upward wing, getting plenty of downward force on the rear end of the cars.
Plenty of air there on that one, though. You saw Brazier coming through with a nice wheel stand. The crowd here at Archerfield absolutely loving his performance. Sitting back in 4th place at the moment is the very capable Todd Wanless, and Danny Smith from the USA also charging hard.
Well, the O'Brien aluminium car on your screen right now going down the main straight as none other than our race leader Gary Brazier, who's invested quite a lot of time, effort and the all-important dollars into this beautifully prepared sprint car. For around about $70,000, you too can enjoy this form of motorsport.
Currently leading the point score in this World Series Sprint Car Championship is Brooke Tatnell, but he is way down in this particular race. There he is on screen, folks, trying to make his way through the pack. Here is the battle, though. Our leader trying to negotiate around Greg Hodnett. Good to see Hodnett got back in amongst this particular race, and Lawrence also involved in that earlier melee.
Well, it's good to see that our race leader is carving through this field like a hot knife through cold butter at this early stage. 30 laps duration, the total race distance, and he's got this car set up impeccably, Greg.
Let's recap the positions for you at this point in time. Gary Brazier is your leader from Paul Lindbergh. In 3rd from the USA, it is Joey Saldana. In 4th place, another USA driver. That, of course, is Danny Smith aboard car number 88. And rounding out the top 5 for you from Queensland, Todd Wanless.
Well, let's take a moment to reflect on some fast facts about these fast machines that go extremely fast sideways around this Archerfield Speedway. 372 cubic inch capacity, constant flow fuel injection, dry sump, torsion bar suspension, and of course the all-important quick change diff. Plenty of smoke coming from one of the back runners, though, at the rear of the field.
Yeah, that's the Tasmanian Jason Dawkins, so he won't be too happy with that. It looks as though it may, in fact, even be terminal. There he is on the circuit. Plenty of smoke coming from that particular car. We turn our attention, though, back to our leader, Gary Brazier, popping another mono for the fabulous crowd here at Archerfield Raceway. Isn't he really enjoying this one?
He certainly is. He doesn't need those front wheels. There's plenty of air all the time underneath it. It just shows how much confidence he has in the setup of this car. And, of course, the setup wouldn't be possible without a good pit crew, and he's very proud of the team that's been following him throughout his entire career.
He's coming around the back of Brooke Tatnell there, you may have seen. So Tatnell obviously won't be very happy about that. You may recall, had to start rear of field after that unfortunate crash earlier on. Was very confident leading into this particular race, but obviously his Shell Helix Maxim not quite set up as the way that he'd like it.
Well, Dawkins from Tasmania could do with a bit of Shell Helix at the moment. He's still out there, plenty of smoke ablazing from the rear of the car. He's sending a smoke screen out there better than any politician I've ever seen.
Well, I'm not actually going to touch that particular one, Lance. Yellow flags on display. That means that there's something gone wrong on the circuit. Let's see if we can figure out what it is. Oh, bad luck. Greg Hodnett from the USA. It looks as though he succumbed to a deflated left rear tyre, so he'll be probably taking no further part in this one.
Well, it could have been worse. It could have been the right rear tyre. Let's hope that doesn't happen to anybody tonight, because that's the tyre that's all important to set the balance and get the drive out of the turns and down the straights. Meanwhile, back under race conditions with our race leader, Gary Brazier, still getting plenty of air under the front wheels.
Certainly is doing a very nice job of it out there at the moment. The field all now bunched back up again as a result of that restart. That's not holding back our leader, though. Look at the gap that he's already got over the drivers in second place. Popping yet another wheel stand. He is really getting into it tonight here at Archerfield Raceway.
He certainly is. Plenty of drivers getting into it here, enjoying the conditions, reveling the challenge of this final round of the World Sprint Car Championship for 96. Gary Brazier, your race leader, on screen now in the O'Brien aluminium car.
One of the drivers missing from the field tonight, the result of an earlier altercation in heat number 1 of tonight's proceedings. Peter Murphy, the very talented New South Welshman, based here though in Brisbane, and he would obviously not be very happy about that. The car succumbed to an incident earlier on, and they were not able to repair it in time for this one.
Well, the Taswegian is still going around there. Dawkins still playing with his smoke screen, trying to cover up his tracks, but there's no problems for our race leader. He's got a lead like the proverbial country mile out there in front. Almost rolled it over to the inside of the circuit there. He's getting so much drive from that left rear wheel.
Certainly is, Lance. The very talented Gary Brazier, just 22 years old, from Granville in New South Wales, got a string of excellent results to his credit and has aspirations, believe it or not, of going and doing the World of Outlaw Championship in the United States, or even dabbling in a little bit of NASCAR back home here in Australia.
He's certainly got the talent. He's certainly got the runs on the board. He's wearing the Australian #1 plate for a very good reason, and that is because in 95 he won that championship. Somebody with a lot of talent and a big future ahead of him is the young Queenslander Paul Lindbergh, wearing Q2 on his side plate, on his fence as they call it, as he makes his way in second placing.
Track holding up very well here at Archerfield at the moment. I tell you what, they're certainly getting some good traction from it. You can see the way that Brazier leapt out of the corner on that particular occasion. Let's take a moment to recap the positions for you. It is Brazier from Lindbergh, back to Saldana, then it's Danny Smith from the USA, and back to 5th place we go to Brent Kading from the USA. Didn't have the best of runs at the last round at Toowoomba, but certainly showing good form tonight.
And Gary Brazier, our race leader, now coming up onto the rear of the Queenslander number 50, Lee Holman, and he's trying to dive down the inside line. Plenty of activity up high on this circuit. A little bit of a rut now forming, and look at Brazier now forcing his way through and overtaking, of course, Lee Holman from Queensland. He now sets his sight on the next car out in front of him in his quest for victory in this final round.
You can look at him there in the driver's seat. He's looking cool, calm and collected. Nothing is phasing the youngster Gary Brazier at the moment. Just negotiating some traffic very, very comfortably. His chassis, a Schnee chassis, and he's certainly got it dialed into Archerfield beautifully. Another mono from him. Gee, he's turning it on for the crowd.
Plenty of opposite lock there, trying not to run up to the rear of Dawkins there from Tasmania in his quest to be first to the checkered flag. Not too many laps to go now. Another good spirited performance from the Americans with Joey Saldana, Danny Smith, and of course Brent Keating, all in the top half a dozen at this stage. Only a couple more laps to go, and it looks like Brazier is going to win it in a walkover.
Just noticed a moment ago, Lance, from our position here in the commentary booth, that Brooke Tatnell in the Shell Helix Maxim has retired to the infield. That won't bother our leader, though. The white flag is out on display. Just a quarter of a lap left to go for Gary Brazier with the coveted #1 plate. He's driven a superb race here at Archerfield tonight. He takes the checkered flag. This is the grand final of the World Series Sprint Car Championship. In second place, the talented Queenslander Paul Lindbergh, and in third, Joey Saldana.
He was the first of the Americans across the line, with Danny Smith in 4th placing, Brent Keating in 5th, and Darren Jensen rounding up the top 6. But you can't take it away from our race winner. He wears the #1, Gary Brazier from Sydney.
A great drive by Gary Brazier here tonight, certainly showing all the good form that we've come to know from him. Why wouldn't he want to go on to greater things like the World of Outlaw Sprint Car Series, or alternatively NASCAR racing here in Australia? He's shown that he's a class driver, and that he's certainly got the ability to excel at those forms of racing.
Well, whilst the crowd has been warming to his victory, and he's now set to take the checkered flag on a well-deserved victory lap, well, he was anyway until he dropped it, I've had the abacus working overtime, and despite his non-finish tonight, Brooke Tatnell secures his 2nd consecutive World Series Sprint Car Championship ahead of the hard-charging American Joey Saldana, and Peter Murphy, who, despite crashing out in his Pearson's drilling and blasting Jenkins earlier on in the night, secures a very creditable 3rd place in the entire series.
Well, the organisers of the the World Series Sprint Car Championship can certainly be happy with some of those statistics, Lance, and why wouldn't they be? With 8 different main event winners, 9 different lap leaders throughout the course of those main events, and 9 different fastest times being taken by 9 different race victors.
Well, it's certainly been our pleasure to bring you all the entertainment of the World Series Sprint Car Championship for 95-96. And our congratulations go to Gary Brazier, Brooke Tatnell, the Americans, and the entire field contesting this series this year. But right now from Archerfield Speedway, it's good night.